You might not think there's much to be afraid of when you see an insect flying past your head. After all, most of them are only a few millimeters long and don't have much of a reason to attack humans. But if you happen to live in the wrong place at the wrong time over the past 600 million years, that couldn't be further from the truth. Some insects back then were bigger than your hand, and some were so scary they made dinosaurs look small fry. Welcome to my channel. Today we're counting down the top 5 prehistoric insects bigger than your hand. You won't believe how big some of these guys got. So let's get started. Number 5, Megaura. Insects aren't the only creatures that use wings to get around, and it makes sense why. Evolution has a real knack for figuring out how to keep animals aloft. All you need is something rigid to attach muscles to, and voila, instant lift. Bird bones, bat wings, butterfly wings, insect wings. It's a wonder what other structures would work. Maybe one day we'll figure out a way to fly by flapping our elbows. But until then, we can admire the masters of the skies, like the Megaura. Megaura means giant nerve, and with a wingspan of up to 42 centimeters, this insect was definitely deserving of the name. The first fossil evidence of Megaura was discovered in 1839 in the coal mines of Commentry, France, and it turns out that the French aren't the only ones who have stumbled upon them. In 1991, a fossil of this insect was found in the famous La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles. And though it wasn't quite as large as its European counterpart, it still had a wingspan of 33 centimeters. That's almost the size of an iPad. How did such large wings evolve? Well, it probably helped that Megaura lived during the Carboniferous period. This was between 359 and 299 million years ago. Back then, oxygen levels were about 30% higher than they are today. More oxygen means more energy is available for creatures that breathe it in, so it might have been easy for animals to grow larger. Plus, insects probably use their wings for more than just flying. Maybe they also use them as sails to catch the wind while running along the ground. Either way, you probably wouldn't want to run into one of these on your hike through the woods. No. 4. Arthroplura. When you hear the word Arthroplura, you might think of a particular branch of the U.S. military. But long before the Joint Chiefs of Staff, there was the Arthropoda. These creatures are among the oldest known terrestrial animals, showing up on land about 365 million years ago, and they were on every continent on Earth. Talk about global citizens. But you probably don't need to worry about ever encountering one in your lifetime because arthropods went extinct 290 million years ago. So where do they fit in our countdown? Let us introduce you to Arthroplura. These segmented beasts could grow more than a meter long, with each body ring equipped with its own legs. Imagine a centipede crossed with a lobster. Now throw in a few dozen more legs, and you have an Arthroplura. Their fossils have been found in Europe, Asia, and even the USA. And no, we're not talking about millipedes. Arthropods are part of a completely different order called chilopods. Like all insects, they had a head, thorax, and abdomen, but their bodies were made up of dozens of repeating segments, and they shared characteristics with both crustaceans and insects. Just to confuse matters even more, scientists haven't settled on how many legs each segment had. Was it 2, 4, or 6? They also don't know what exactly killed them off. But they suspect that low oxygen levels may have played a role. Could you survive in an environment with only 10 of the oxygen we have now? What about an environment with 10 of the oxygen you'd find at 4,000 meters above sea level? Well, that's about the same as what our ancestors experienced 290 million years ago. Perhaps the air was simply too thin for such large creatures. Number 3, Pulmonos Scorpius. If you've ever gotten stung by a scorpion, you know they can be pretty painful. Try getting stung by a giant scorpion that's over a foot long. Meet Pulmonos Scorpius. This enormous arachnid lived in what is now Scotland about 300 million years ago. And yes, we're classifying it as an insect despite having 2 main body sections instead of 3. Remember, insects belong to the class Insecta, which makes scorpions, spiders, and mites part of the same group. Scientists have found several fossil relatives of Pulmonos Scorpius, but they are all from the same genus, so they named this one Pulmonos Scorpius kirktonensis, since it was found in Kirkton of Auchingarich. But what exactly is a Pulmonos Scorpius? It's thought to be the largest known arachnid that ever existed, reaching lengths of 1.25 meters. That's nearly 4 feet. Most of that length came from its tail, which is also the part that set it apart from other scorpions. See, regular scorpions have tails that curve upward, but Pulmonos Scorpius had a straight tail with a bulbous tip. Also, unlike modern scorpions, which typically measure between 2 and 7 centimeters in length, Pulmonos Scorpius likely preferred to live on land. Another difference from modern scorpions is that it probably didn't sting its prey. Instead, it was likely venomous enough to kill its victims with a single bite, like a black widow spider. So if you happen to encounter a fossilized Pulmonos Scorpius on your next trip to Scotland, watch your step. Even if it can't hurt you now, it certainly could have in the past. Number 2, Titanomma. There are lots of different species of ants living on every continent on Earth except Antarctica. So far, scientists have identified about 12,000 species, but they think there could be many more. They vary in size, color, and behavior, but none are quite as terrifying as Titanomma. Titanomma is Latin for gigantic ant, and this species certainly lived up to its name. Found in what is now the Dominican Republic, it lived during the late Miocene epoch. From about 11 to 5 million years ago, the Caribbean was home to all sorts of giant insects, including another huge ant species named Silene jurassica. It lived on the island of Hispaniola and grew up to 5 centimeters long. That's the size of a honeybee. But compared to Titanomma, that bee looks like an insect toddler. At 17 centimeters long, Titanomma was almost 7 inches long. And the scariest part, it was actually an early ancestor of the leafcutter ant. Imagine a creature that looks like a prehistoric alien, striding through the forest and cutting leaves with its jaws. Yeah, it's scary. But luckily, Titanomma went extinct about 5 million years ago. Unfortunately, we don't know exactly what caused this ant to go extinct. But considering it was a giant insect living in an ancient rainforest, it probably died out due to habitat destruction. Still, it's nice that we're not around to witness the rise of super stingers. Number 1, Jacalopterus. You might think that all of today's biggest insects already existed back in the day. I mean, the Goliath bird-eater tarantula has been around for millions of years. But compared to the largest insect that ever lived, this spider looks like an insect baby. Say hello to Jacalopterus. This order of insects has been around for about 300 million years. In that time, they have changed very little. So it's no surprise that scientists have found fossils of Jacalopterus in places like France, Germany, Britain, and even Kansas. These insects had flat, oval-shaped bodies, and their fossils show they had 2 pairs of wings and 2 pairs of legs, but one pair of wings developed differently and grew much larger than the others. With a wingspan of up to 71 centimeters, these creatures could have flown away with an osprey in their claws. And they probably did. One fossil found in southern Germany has preserved claw marks that seem to have come from an osprey or a kite tail. It seems these birds were as fond of eating Jacalopterus as they are today. Owls, we're looking at you. So although this insect was one of the largest that ever lived, it didn't hold its title for long. Its reign ended about 252 million years ago when a mass extinction wiped out 70% of terrestrial life and 90% of marine species. Luckily, we have its fossils to remind us of just how big it got. Thanks for watching. Which of these prehistoric insects was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. See you next time.